Hello everyone, I'm Rohit here, and I am the author of this book, Decoding Human Psyche. And in this video, we are going to discuss about happiness and anxiety, which are also very important aspects of human psychology. Um, so this is the book which I'm talking about. Whatever I'm going to say about the psychological aspects, whatever I'm going to, whatever concepts I'm going to discuss are basically in this book. And the aim of this video lecture series is basically to give a part of the knowledge which is embedded in this book to those who are unable to read, or because of some reason like lack of time or lack of uh, they can't read, or they don't want to read. So these are the reasons why they cannot basically have that knowledge. So for them to have access to that knowledge, this particular video series I've started. So I think you subscribe to this so that you can get much more psychology related content. But this is basically not the actual subject of psychology. This is basically psychology which you can actually uh, make use of in your day-to-day life. So you can apply it, whatever you are learning. Not only you have to learn, but you have to keep applying whatever you have learned. And that is going to definitely, that has basically, it can make a lot of difference in your life and life of others also, because your choices will become better. You will be much better equipped to deal with people. You will understand how the beliefs work, and you will be basically more knowledgeable to deal with the situations of the world. So we will just we have already discussed basically in the previous sections about the subconscious mind and the conscious mind, what it is. We'll just go through this because it is important from the point of view of understanding the centers. So this conscious mind is the one which is basically you are basically the conscious mind, which is a conscious entity which is sitting in your brain, which has the ability to control the brain, some functions of the brain. There are some functions which are not under your control, possibly. And what we are going to talk about is the centers, basically the happiness center and the anxiety center. So these are actually things which are not under your control. So you cannot basically consciously, voluntarily activate these centers. So like that, respiratory center is not under your control. So there are some centers which are under your control, like voluntary centers, like voluntary muscle control. These are some centers which are possibly not under your control. So there is some conscious entity sitting in your head, which is called as the consciousness or conscious mind, which is basically the one which is experiencing all the things which you are seeing or hearing or tasting or smelling or touching. So this conscious entity is also capable of changing your controlling your muscles and your body, basically. So some aspects of the thing it can. So there is another completely separate entity called as the subconscious mind, which is basically capable of putting urges into conscious mind, and with that it can basically control the conscious mind. Conscious mind has an independent existence, and it has an independent uh, it can think basically independently, and it can analyze things independently. So it has an intelligence basically, but it is basically lazy. So it for this analysis part, it needs a lot of energy. So many times this conscious mind is basically when it utilizes its own cognition, it's called as system 2 of Kahneman. But if it keeps utilizing whatever preconceived beliefs which are there in the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind is basically a reservoir of subconscious thoughts and tendencies. So it can basically record things. It is a recorder like, and it's an AI computer, so it can put urges into the conscious mind, so that the conscious mind can, if it wants, it can repress the urge, or if it wants, it can act on an urge. So that way, the basic primary function of the subconscious mind is to make a subconscious map of what is good and what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, what I like, what I don't like. So this what I like and what I dislike, or likes and dislikes, is basically dependent on these centers basically. So these centers, the happiness center and anxiety center, are extremely relevant, and the subconscious mind is primarily intertwined with these two centers. So these two centers are extremely important, and they are basically very powerful pathways. We'll come to that. So this subconscious mind is an autopilot, and it is said that, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that it is our sarathi, or it's like our driver, so it can drive us around, and it has some subconscious beliefs which get incorporated into it, and these subconscious beliefs constitute the belief persona, or the ideology, or the belief. It's a map, a subconscious map of what is good and what is bad. So if you want, you can utilize that map, and if you don't want, you may not utilize it. So this, as I said, it is a completely separate person, so to say. So it's not basically you yourself. So whatever urges you are getting are coming from the subconscious mind, which is basically accumulating all the. Now how it accumulates, we don't know. Where is the memory, where is the hard disk of this subconscious mind? We don't know. Possibly it is inside the brain itself, but we don't know for sure. We don't know at all anything about how consciousness affects brain function, and how subconscious mind affects the conscious mind and all. But we know that it exists, because these Bollywood movies and all, they keep calling it as names. So they know that there is some different entity, or some different force which is basically controlling us, which is the heart, or the dil, or the man, or jiya. Anyhow, so this is the quick recap basically. So now we have come to the present, or today's video. So we are basically going to discuss about the two things actually. So happiness and grief, or happiness or anxiety. So happiness and grief is basically the more appropriate opposites actually. So happiness center and grief center. But grief is it's more of an anxiety rather than grief. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said that life revolves around happiness and grief. That is, sometimes there is happiness, sometimes there is grief. So this particular, there's one verse which says like that. Now I don't know what verse and what exactly it says word by word, but basically it's like a circle. So like after there is a morning, there comes night, then again it comes morning, again then it comes night. So it's like a circle. So the life goes all around the circle. So sometimes there is happiness, sometimes there is grief, then again there is happiness, then there is again grief. So if you are in a particular moment of grief, don't worry. Sometime later, again happiness will come for you. Like that, there is some words, but basically this is a bit misleading, because some of the interpretations think that people think in some of the interpretations that these urges, these periods are long, maybe 2-3 days of happiness, then 2-3 days of grief, like that. But it's not like that actually. The real thing is that it's like a pendulum basically. So for 1 minute, for one moment, happiness will be there, and the other moment some grief might start, then again third moment some happiness comes, then again fourth. So it's a minute by minute thing. So it's like how many times you get happiness and how many times you get grief or anxiety. Uh, so minute by minute, it matters basically. So it's not, it's like a pendulum. So sometimes there is happiness, and again suddenly some grief and anxiety starts. Then again sometimes some another reason comes and happiness comes, like that. So it is like it's constantly changing. Sometimes happiness, sometimes. So it's like a center basically. So you can say punishment center and a reward center. So sometimes reward center gets fired, and then it closes, and again punishment center gets fired, then again reward center, then punishment center. Although there are some centers in the brain, when you are happy, those centers lighten up, and there are some centers where if there is you are anxious, those centers get lightened up, but it's only for specific things, and it's not very specific, so you don't know for sure which is happiness center and which is a grief center. But basically we are taking it as at face value basically. So we don't know for sure which part of our brain is happiness center. There are some studies on monkeys where needles with electrodes were inserted into their brain at the specific region of reward center. So if the monkey was given a banana and a button which can stimulate the reward center, so it would not take the banana, it would take the button, and it would keep stimulating the reward center, because basic reason for our existence is basically pursuit of happiness. So that these are some of the experiments basically. But in human brain, we don't know for sure where is the reward center, but there are some things, some people who have suggested it. But in general, we'll just loosely use these terms like as reward center and punishment center, but actually we don't know for sure where they are. So they keep getting stimulated. So sometimes there's happiness because of something else, like that. Now it's like a digital code basically. So if you want to, somebody might ask whether I'm happy or not happy. So there are some people who may be happy in their life, and there are some people, happiness index basically. So happiness index, you can say every moment there might be either happiness or there is grief, or happiness or anxiety, happiness or anxiety, happiness or anxiety. So happiness, you can say 1, anxiety you say 0. But if there is extreme happiness, then there is 1, 1, 1, 1. If there is extreme grief, then there is 0, 0, 0. So you take an average basically. So from the whole day, how many ones you've got and how many zeros you've got. In general, ones should be slightly bigger than zeros. There cannot be completely no zeros. It's impossible like that. But ones, if they are more than zeros, that means that you're happy overall. So like that, it's like a digital code. So there are 3 types of reward center, basically: short-term reward center, medium-term reward center, long-term reward centers. These reward centers are actually not completely well-defined ones, and we are just loosely using this term of reward center and anxiety center or punishment center. But basically we know their effects actually. So we don't know for sure where exactly in the brain they are, whether they are in the brain or whether it is basically some related to something else. But we know for sure that this reward center and punishment center is basically not like the vocal center or the muscles, the motor area, because it is not under our voluntary control. So it is in control of something else basically. Something else means what? We don't know, but maybe it is basically under control of the subconscious mind. And why suddenly a person gets anxiety, or why suddenly a person gets a reward after particular activity, we don't know for sure, right? But we know that we do. So we know, so we will basically take all of these in some detail, basically. What is short term, what is medium term, what is long term, and what is anxiety. So Hindu scriptures, basically they uh, gave something called as purusharthas. Purusharthas is called as aim. They are basically aims of life. So what is the aim of our human existence or human life? So they suggest that there are four aims of the human life, four pillars of the human life. The first aim of the human life is karma. Karma is what? Short-term reward center stimulation or short-term happiness. It is basically very short-term stimulation of reward center, or basically short-term um, experience of happiness. So very short-term experience of happiness is basically karma. So it is usually it is said that it is dopamine based or oxytocin based. So if you are watching a movie, or if you're playing a video game, or you are watching cricket, you like cricket and you are watching cricket, or you are watching so these, all this is what giving you pleasure. So if you are listening to music, or if you are eating your favorite food, basically, so all this will give a momentary happiness. So if you are smoking, or if you are having drugs, or you are having alcohol, all these will give you momentary pleasure, or a momentary um, happiness, momentary stimulation of the rewards, the short-term rewards and the stimulation. So that's why these are all called as karma. Now there is a problem with karma. All these as soon as you stop doing the activity which was causing, one thing is for sure, that whatever activity you are doing, which is basically stimulating this reward center stimulation, it's actually taking up your time, and it is often it's a useless activity, like playing video games. When you play video game, you don't really gain anything out of it. You are just although you do get some reflex, but overall you are just killing your time. You are killing your time watching a movie, or killing your time playing on a video game, or seeing a cricket. So that is why this karma is sometimes it basically requires your time, but even then it is basically addictive. Your subconscious mind learns very fast. Yes, this particular activity gives me pleasure, so it will keep putting urges for you to you to pursue the karma. Now this subconscious mind is actually like a instant gratification monkey, and this calm is basically instant gratification. So calm, the subconscious mind is basically more in towards calm, and it is basically it will it is basically designed innately to prevent any kind of anxiety, or any kind of effort. So it is basically instant gratification. So it's like you have a monkey, and your ship is there, and you give the drivers, you put that monkey on the drivers. What will it do? 1 second it wanted to go straight, then it will go on the left, and then it will go on the right, and then it keeps going like that. So your ship will keep wandering aimlessly, and you won't be able to reach a particular goal. So this is what happens if your driver's seat is occupied by the subconscious mind, and you are not basically driving. You are basically being driven by your subconscious mind. That is, you are not analyzing your subconscious urges, and you keep on saying that no, these urges are coming from myself only, so they are my innate urges. So why should I repress them? I will go with those urges. You keep letting the subconscious mind drive you. In this case, you are bound to fail, or you are bound to make your life completely miserable. Why? Because karma has another problem, that as soon as you stop doing the activity, the calm stops. The short-term stimulation of um, reward center, it stops basically. So then the subconscious mind wants more calm. So it puts more and more impulses for you. Then that creates anxiety. Why are you not doing? I want video game. I want video game. I want video game. Because the subconscious mind has learned video game is good for you. So it will keep pestering your mind. No, 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 I want more. I want more. I want more. And then this anxiety will kill your time again. So you won't be able to focus on anything else. So basically, it's a killer of time. Not only killer of time, it might have other bad effects. Like if you are a smoker, instant gratification because of one cigarette also has a lot of harm to your body, isn't it? Like that. There is another actually when you are touching, direct touch, then that releases oxytocin, which also is a short-term gratification or short-term pleasure. So when you are hugging or kissing your child or your spouse, or so all that is also calm, which is basically very short-term. So you won't get the gratification as soon as you stop doing the activity. So as soon as you stop doing the activity, you will start getting the urge that I need to do more. So that is the reason why that is very addictive, including social media addiction, porn addiction, and alcohol addictions. All these addiction problems are because of this subconscious urge, which basically calm is one of the very important reasons of anxiety. So again, there is a earth basically is what medium term. So earth is basically when you have a job, or when you become something, like you become a doctor, or you become a teacher, or you have a job, you earn, you have your own car, and you have your own bungalow, and you have some popularity, and people know you with something. So that's all earth basically. So what is it is basically slightly slower but medium term gratification or happiness basically. So as soon as you get the car, you get some slightly longer term happiness, not like calm. As soon as the car goes, you park your car and come home, the gratification doesn't go away, it still stays. But this gratification is also not completely constant, because it is basically again subject to other thoughts basically. So if you have a car, but somebody else's car is bigger than you, so that means or your car has an accident, or it gets some damage. So again, this can lead to anxiety. So it can be basically, it can be taken away from you. It's partial. It's not permanent basically. So it can be taken away from you. So that's the reason why it has some problems. Like it can give rise to a lot of anxiety if you are unable to achieve what you want. That is, if you want a big bungalow but you cannot afford it, and you have to say okay with a smaller flat, or you cannot buy a car and you're saying okay with scooter. So in that case, the earth is limited for you, which means that you are often, what happens is that you waste your time in karma, and that is why you are not able to study much. And for getting earth, you need to have some discipline in your life. So if you are not having any discipline, and you don't keep your you have to basically sit, and you have to plan. You need a lot of planning, you need a lot of effort, you need a lot of discipline, you need a lot of so you're basically, you're ship has to go in one direction for a long time. So if it doesn't go in this direction, and you keep roaming here and there because of karma. So because of karma, karma creates a lot of hurdles in getting earth. So your short-term gratification or instant gratification monkey of your subconscious mind, if you give driver's seat to it, then the your aim of getting good earth uh, will not be fulfilled. So these are consequences. Basically, you are killing your time. So you are not basically utilizing the time for something better, like achieving more knowledge. So if you are not achieving good knowledge, then you will get bad marks. That means you will fail in your exam, or you will not be able to get what position you want, which means that you will be stuck with a job rather than be able to become a bigger like a doctor or an engineer. You won't be. So that is how the calm can have influence on earth, because more you indulge in calm, you in the long run will have less earth, which means which itself will not only calm can produce anxiety today itself, but it can also produce anxiety in your future or tomorrow. So karma is actually here. So we discussed human ego and superego, and id. So id is basically trying, or is a part of the subconscious mind which is trying for calm, and superego is some part of the subconscious mind which you get after you acquire knowledge. If you are ignorant, you will not have superego. So this superego will keep telling you, no, don't do this, because if you don't watch video game too much, because if you watch video game too much, then you will waste your time. So you won't study. So you will be bad in the future. So not today, but in the future, you will not have a bigger car, or you won't have a good job, or you won't have a good salary. So they're basically interrelated, earth and calm. But even earth has a lot of problems, because it can lead to jealousy, because if you don't have enough, then somebody else has, then it can create jealousy, and also greed. So some people have more, but they still want still more. They want still more. They want still more. So this greed can lead to a lot of anxiety center stimulation. And so whatever money you have already, you won't be able to utilize it properly, or enjoy it properly. So there won't be any contentment. Even though you have so much money, you have 2 cars, but now you want 5 cars. So as soon as you get 5 cars, now you want 100 cars. Then 100 cars, then you want 5 factories. Like that, your needs, greed keeps increasing. So there's no upper limit to it. So once there you reach a particular level of earth, after that, more and more earth, more and more greed will not change your life actually, but it will basically, it's like more and more greed. So earth can cause a lot of anxiety because of greed. So it's basically eating away your and it adds to your stress also. Like if you have a big business to run, basically you have a lot of fears, what will happen tomorrow. This all gives rise to stress. So we will talk about anxiety center in that, so you are basically adding to your fears. So you know that there are some fears, subconscious fears in you about death and about disability, but failure and future. So all these things are also added to. So basically, earth is good, but it is basically coupled to anxiety center also. So too much, it can generate a lot of anxiety. So calm as well as earth can generate a lot of anxiety. So that is the reason why you should basically, it's not that you should not have it. Calm is important for you. Earth is also important for you. But calm and earth, both, you need to have a balance between them. So you cannot have too much calm, you cannot have too much focus on earth. And there is something called as dharma or duty, or so this is basically long term. This is serotonin based and long term contentment. This is basically if you are doing your duties properly, you have a very slow, steady release of contentment producing hormones. That is the serotonin level will increase in your blood. So this is basically, if you are a good parent and you're taking care of your children and you're taking care, you are a good mother and you're having a good, all the duties you are fulfilling, or you're a good father and you are taking care of your children and protecting them, and you're earning bread for them, and so basically all your father related responsibilities you are taking care of. Or if you are a good CEO of a company and you are running the company well, so that contentment that yes, I have done a good job as a CEO, or as a that contentment that I am a good doctor and I have basically changed the life of so many people, patients. So that is, these are all dharma basically. They are there. That is your dharma. So every person has different dharma according to their age. So if you are a student and you have a lot of, you read a lot, so that is your dharma basically, to acquire more knowledge and and respect others, and basically ask a lot of questions, be curious. So if you are doing that properly, then you'll have long-term contentment. So this there are some duties regarding the earth basically. So you are it is said that if you do gardening, or if you are close to the nature, and if you keep watering your plants, and if you keep sowing plants, and you have some activity or the other, even if you are retired, and so these things have a effect of long-term contentment, and that is the reason why. And social interpersonal relations. So there is basically, as a member of the society, if you are voting, so that's your dharma. If you are a member of the society, and your family, and you are basically, you are a good brother, or you are a good son, or you are a good member of a society. So all these things, if you are doing it properly, all that will give rise to some long-term contentment, which is called as dharma, which is basically also important. So essentially, this kama, artha, and dharma are all three are basically extremely important actually, and you should have a balance between all the three. So it's not good if you have zero kama. There is some holidays. Yes, you need holidays. You need to watch TV, but all the day from morning to evening you watch TV. That's not good. Only and only video game, not good. Only karma is not good. So we know that basically the karma and is very important actually. People, as I said, that many of the people take their decisions based on subconscious urges, and that is the reason why this advertisement industry and this movie industry and this football and cricket and IPL and all huge number of industries and big factories people develop on this same small this thing, that people are going to fall for their subconscious urges, and they are going to go towards short-term gratification, that is calm. So but you have to draw a line. You have to limit your karma. The karma is also um, so like Facebook, social media. So social media consumption is something which is today a very important part of karma, which is very bad actually, because you are killing your time. So you have to set a limit to how much social media interactions. Because if you keep unnecessarily going for social media likes and all, and you will not get anything. You're killing time basically. So you are not doing your dharma or artha. You basically, because at every point in time you have a choice what you choose, whether you choose to fall for the subconscious urge for karma, or whether you focus on um, something, some activity which will over the period you earn you some dharma or earn you some artha. That's what it is basically. Life is basically revolving around these three um, short term, medium term, and long term reward center stimulations or happinesses. So what choices you make, what priorities basically. So do you give more priority is what makes your life happy or sad. So if you give a lot of this thing only to earth, people are there like Steve Jobs or Jack Ma. They basically put their everything for earth, and no karma, no dharma. They did not have families. Families, when you have a family, you have a spouse, you automatically have a lot of dharma and also a lot of karma. Karma is what you give a hug to your child, you play with your child, you enjoy with your child. These are all short-term gratifications which are absolutely relevant, absolutely important. So if you sacrifice all that for earth, then earth will give you happiness, but it will give you a lot of anxiety also of not, because of not having all karma and dharma. So that is how when at the time of his death, um, a lot of people who now Alexander the Great and a lot of other kings basically, they wanted to conquer the whole world. So that is earth basically. So this is like I want more countries, I want more, I want my kingdom to be more. This is basically greed. So this earth will create a lot of greed. So you will keep wasting your life in pursuit of money, and which you won't be able to enjoy at all, and you won't have any. So there should be a balance basically. If you are having too much calm, too much drug addiction, you already have a lot of earth. So those people, there are some celebrity kids basically. So they are born with a silver spoon in their mouth. So they have a lot of earth basically already. So they have a lot of money already, and their fathers are rich people. So do they have contentment? Do they have? Are they happy? No. So for happiness, they still have to indulge in video game and indulge in you know going for long vacations, and also indulge in drugs and parties and porn. So basically, it's a myth that money can buy you happiness. It's only a small part of happiness. So your other things you have to keep for that calm. They indulge themselves into calm, and that drug addiction, they become drug addict, and then they become failure basically, because they are unable to meet the things of their father. Because but there are exceptions, and I mean, I'm not saying that everyone does that. So basically this long term short term and medium term gratification. You have to achieve a balance, and you have to choose. Um, you have to prioritize. You have to choose one, and you have to prioritize, and you have to have others also, but you have to have goals in your life. So this the fourth one, which is the ultimate gratification, which Hindu scriptures say is basically having one with God. In a scientific discussion, we should not discuss this, but that is what they say, that being one with the God is the ultimate form of happiness. So there's something called as anxiety or anxiety center stimulation. We know we get a lot of anxiety because of a lot of reasons. Actually, the most important one is fear of death. So death is an inevitability. So but even a lot of people die before they are actually die because of the fear of death, because they constantly get a fear that, and anxiety that what will happen, how will it be, when it will be. And for this fear of dying, a lot of people choose a lot of things. Like you're having a Sunday morning, and you can do anything. You can indulge in calm, you can indulge in earth, you can indulge in anything, you can indulge in dharma also. But people will, what will they think? Oh, I will go for a morning walk. I might get a heart attack, so I have to be healthy, so I will go for a walk. So basically, death and disability or disease, these are all very important fears which people have, and because of that, a lot of choices of them depend on these, right? So these are insecurities or anxieties which are there in the minds of people. So these are very important, and some events or some actions which they, sometimes the person starts developing some symptoms and also or actions. So he's not able to run, or he's having a lot of weight, or increases, or cholesterol is high, or a doctor appointment. So all these events basically create the anxiety, add to the anxiety of these. There are some societal pressures, like for women, they should look beautiful, they should have beautiful curvy bodies, and they should not have too much fat, and they should have, so all these are societal pressures which gives a lot of anxiety. A boy should have a good fat salary, a boy should earn, have a house of his own and a car of his own and all that. So these are all societal pressures, and if a person is not meeting them, that will lead to a lot of anxiety, because constantly thinking, oh, what will others think? I don't have a house of my own, I don't have a good salary, I don't have this, I don't have that. So these are all anxiety generating impulses. um, the self-serving bias, which we have discussed in the previous this thing, we'll also discuss that in a bit of is called as basically is a part of the subconscious mind, which is it is related to maintaining a person's self-esteem. So this is also one of the reasons why a lot of anxiety gets generated, because a person doesn't usually like being proven wrong. So I am somebody good, I'm somebody big, so how can you prove me wrong? So that self-esteem issue comes, which is also often a lot of anxiety generating impulse. So self-serving bias is basically meant to actually reduce the total amount of anxiety in the future, but it itself causes a lot of anxiety. So self-esteem. So fear of failure. So any thing you indulge in, you can have a lot of a fear of failure. So that can give rise to a lot of anxiety. What will happen in the future? Yeah. So future. So if you start a business venture or something, or if you are, you start some course, or your thesis, or your PhD, or you start some be tech or be engineering, be, or you want to become a doctor. So what will happen in the future? Will I pass or will I fail? What will happen even after MBBS? Or will I get into PG? So these are all fears of the anxiety of the future. What will happen in the future? Will I be able to do well? Will I be able to settle? Will I be? Will I get patient? So all these are anxieties of the future, anxieties of the unknown. It is it's typical that if you have one particular line of thinking, it's basically called a zone of zone of comfort. So if you go beyond that zone, then you will have anxiety. So you have some friends of yours. So in those friends, you will be able to talk well. But if you suddenly someone tells you go and give a speech in front of a large audience, then you have anxiety, a lot of anxiety. Why? Because um, and again, societal pressures are basically unknown. You have not done this before. So what will people think? Whether will I be able to cope up with it or not? So this is anxiety of the unknown. So these are all the reasons of anxiety. Now again, uh, anger is one of the very interesting things. Anger, jealousy, wants, aspirations. So if you are unable to meet with your own, or if you are hating someone, and if someone is preaching you wrong, or someone is putting you down, so the self-serving bias, or it can basically put a lot of impulses of anger. Then if you have something but someone else has much more than you, that's jealousy. If you have something but you want more, or you have aspirations, like you are a doctor but you want to become a specialist doctor, and you have aspirations, so all these create a lot of anxiety. Greed, so you have something but you want much more. So for that, now this hatred is one of the very important parts of anxiety stimulation, and which we have to basically actively look for and just root out, because hatred is the one of the worst things basically you can have for anybody else. So these are all the causes of anxiety center stimulation. Um, Now these are all emotions, actually, emotional pathways. So any urge which is causing a lot of anxiety, or it is causing a um, lot of if any urge is basically causing a lot of anxiety, or the other way around, that is, it is giving you pleasure. These two are basically linked to your emotions, so they are emotional pathways. So they are basically very powerful. So if you are giving a speech, and at the end of the speech you are able to touch their emotions, or if you are able to connect to their emotions, or if you are able to generate happiness, or basically short-term stimulation of their happiness center, that is a good thing. But if you are instead basically offending them because of your choice of speech, and you're instead of happiness center, if they have a simulation of the punishments anxiety center, that is a wrong thing basically, because you are whatever you are trying to say mm, will not go into their head, and so they will basically mm, whatever will you are trying to tell them, the exact opposite will go into their head, which is why these emotional pathways are very important. So people will basically it's a it's a tip actually. It's a pearl of wisdom that people will forget everything, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So if you have made them feel very happy, then they will remember you for life. If you have made them feel very miserable, very sad, then they will not forget you. They will remember that. So whatever one point of time you made them feel very offended or very bad, whatever you do, they will keep hating you for that. So that is how emotional pathways are. And people are often associate two things together, like um, at any given point of time, if there was some music going on, and at the same time a lot of exuberance of happiness was there, so they will basically connect that song to that particular event, and then next time whenever that song is there again, you will start feeling happy because you start remembering that particular event. Like that, a small boy is there, and his father takes him to the park, and in the park he's very happy. So this emotional exuberance, he's this is happiness is short-term happiness suddenly increases. So these are events which connect form a very good bond between the father and the son. Like that, if you even the mother, um, some places of us and associations are there, like you have played with your kid in one particular park, and when you are old you visit the same park, then you start remembering all the happy moments which you played. So this is all emotions basically. So you're associating one particular event with a particular event which had gave you a lot of happiness. The other way around, the same thing also happens. Like if you in a particular event, you had a very extreme stimulation of anxiety center, so you are not able to forget that at all. Like there is a uh, post-traumatic stress disorder, it's called as. Like people into some stressful uh, event in their life, like their death of their parents, or maybe an accident, or maybe an abduction. So these are all stressful events which cause a lot of anxiety center hyperstimulation. So in that, they are not able to. So one particular place can actually trigger the anxiety. So that's what is called as. Um, so they are basically associating with one particular place. Now there is something called as emotional intelligence and emotional maturity. So these are all emotional pathways. So um, fortunately, uh, although we don't have any control over when a particular um, happiness or anxiety center will start getting stimulated, we don't have any control over that. But we can basically suppress it. If there is a lot of anxiety being generated, you can manually or voluntarily you can suppress it. These are very powerful pathways actually, so you need a lot of effort for that. But even then, slowly you can wean that off. It's not very easy. It's easier to say than to do. But um, over a period of years or years together, emotional intelligence and emotional maturity can um, can be learned. Basically, it's a learned act. So for that, you have to understand what urges are coming and from where they are coming. So you have to keep an eye on your urges, subconscious urges. Any subconscious urges coming, you have to take a pause, and then you have to go ahead. There are many urges, like you get an urge to shout at your spouse, or you get an urge to give a befitting reply to your spouse, or you get a urge to shout at your kid, or you have an urge to fight with your boss. So these are all urges. So these are subconscious urges. So the subconscious mind is putting these urges into your conscious mind. But the the thing is, you have to be able to identify those urges, and you have to be mindful and put a filter onto your subconscious urges. So what urges are coming, and what urges I want to act upon, and what urges I want to repress. So you have to keep choosing your urges properly. What urges are good, I will act upon them. What urges are bad, it's better that I suppress them rather than go forward with it. So if you keep going through those urges, whatever urges are coming, you approve them and you keep acting according to them. That is a bad thing basically, because you are, whatever these subconscious urges are coming, they will basically cause a lot of anxiety center stimulation, a lot of um, adrenaline release, and a lot of palpitation. And basically, these urges, there is a subconscious anxiety, and this anxiety will be relieved by all this. But these are this pent up fury or pent up anger is released basically. So you will feel happy, or short term happiness, but that is not good for you in the future, because this can, keep increasing the fight. So you give a reply, then she also gives the same reply, using the same argument, same mechanism, psychological mechanism. Then you also give another reply, then she also gives a. So like that, the fight will never end, and so that is why the overall. So what you choose is very important. So whether you choose emotional maturity and intelligence, or and you choose to respond to it rather than reacting to it. Reacting to it is what you let your subconscious urges rule you, and respond to it is what you analyze the urge first, whether it is the right thing to do or not, and then you react, you act on it. So that is what is responding to an urge. So you have to put a mindfulness filter, or you have to be mindful of what urges are coming, and you have to keep repressing the negative urges, and you have to keep uh, uh, acting on the positive urges. Now this again, what is positive urge and what is negative urge is also again very subjective, and it is dependent on the knowledge of a person. So at some different point in time, one particular urge could be good. What is good and what is bad is highly subjective, and it's biased. And if you have some cognitive biases within you, then you might think that one particular thing is good. So anyhow, so in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said that you need to be sthita prajna. So sthita prajna or sthita prajna. What exactly that means is what the one who has control over his own emotions. That is, emotional exuberance is not there. So if you get a sudden subconscious urge to shout at your boss, or if you get a sudden subconscious urge to fight with your spouse, or fight with your shout on your kid. So you are not having a you are basically having an emotional exuberance. So you are not able to suppress it. So you don't have emotional maturity. You are not sthita prajna. So you are uh, people who are sthita prajna are not too happy when they have a happy event, and not too sad when they are having a. So this is basically a very crude definition of sthita prajna. But sthita prajna is basically uh, a person who understands his own emotions and he can suppress them. Suppress. Now this is the need of the hour actually. So emotional intelligence, emotional maturity, or understanding what emotions you are having, and what emotions your wife is having, and not falling prey to subconscious urges, and choosing very cautiously what urges to respond to and what urges to suppress is extremely important, because today, is a era where, as soon as you get see a tweet which is not um, it is basically opposing your core beliefs, you suddenly jump on the conclusion that this guy is bad, and start putting some befitting reply to the tweet. So that is what is called as emotional exuberance. That is, as soon as you see someone who is preaching against you, you become extremely angry and you start going and hitting that person. This is what the teenagers of today are having. Basically, there's no emotional control with them. Like there was a gurudwara, and some person went into that gurudwara and was trying to take the book. So their emotional control was just not there. They just kept on beating him, and then he succumbed. Like that, there was one guy who, uh, Sardar Ji fellow, driving the car. He had a sword. There was no emotional control. So the policeman was stopping him. He chopped off the fingers of the police. So this is basically what a normal guy would not do it, but he just doesn't have any control over the emotion. So this happens so often. Blasphemy, they just don't have any control over their emotions. So people um, kill for a for Facebook post. This is 2022, 2021, or basically what is the need of the hour is people have emotional maturity and emotional intelligence, and you have to be able to control your emotions, and you should understand the emotional exuberance and suppress it, because whenever you are emotional, all the intellectual pathways just stop working. So emotions take over, so intellect stop working, and intellect is the one, the system 2 is the one who can take into account what is whether whether you have enough knowledge to conclude or not. So if you think that this guy is bad, think about it again, have a second conscious thought. Do we really think that this is right or it's wrong? Because the emotions, as soon as your emotional pathways take over, you have no idea whether this guy is really guilty or not. But because your subconscious thought thinks that he is guilty, he deserves to be killed. So this is emotional immaturity or emotional exuberance. So this is what it is actually. What is the need of the hour is what you have to understand your emotions. You have to understand these pathways, how they work, how subconscious mind, how self-serving bias and all are important. So something called as, so the subconscious mind is also called as chitta. So you know that the subconscious mind can put urges, and it's called as the sanskar vritti sanskar cycle, or urge action reinforcement cycle, which I had discussed in the previous video, the subconscious mind video. I think you better go and have a look if you have not seen that. So the subconscious mind can put urges into the conscious mind, and these urges, you can approve them or disapprove them, but most commonly they usually approve them. So what urges the subconscious mind puts, it depends on what is there in the subconscious mind. So if the subconscious mind sees a lot of violence and a lot of female objectification and a lot of other things, then this is available basically. So it can put that urge. But if all the good thoughts are there in the subconscious mind, I mean the child basically sees their parents are very loving and they are basically sticking to their dharma, and they are having good morals, and they are good people, and they are basically kind to animals, kind to nature, and they are responsible. So all these things will enter into the subconscious mind as beliefs, and then the same things are available to the subconscious mind, so it will put the urges in the same manner. So um, so basically, if your subconscious mind is programmed well, then it will give a good urge. And if your subconscious mind is bad, then it will give a bad urge. But even if your subconscious mind is badly programmed, you can keep purifying it by repetition, rote repetition. So have a if you you can acquire knowledge of what is good and what is bad according to the scriptures, and those what are bad, you have to keep repeating that it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. Then it enters into subconscious mind, and then it won't give that urge. So you have to choose the urges properly, which urges you are supposed to act on and which urges you are supposed to repress. This is very, very important. So the knowledge is very highly important, because without knowledge, superego cannot develop, and if there's no superego, it is in command basically. So there's no question of suppressing an urge if you don't know that this urge is a wrong one. So what is right and what is wrong is highly relevant here. So intelligence and knowledge is highly relevant. So you have to understand the difference between subconscious urges and conscious thoughts, and you have to have the ability to differentiate between neer and kshir, that is water and milk. So these are all the typical things which are mentioned, which have a deeper meaning basically. So what are the good urges and what are the bad urges? You should be able to differentiate between them, and you need to repress the bad urges or not act on it, and suppress it, and only give reinforcement to positive urges, like churning while making butter from the milk. So it's like constant battle between our every moment. Some urges might come. So which urge, whether this is good urge or bad urge, you have to repress those which are kill those which are bad urges, and you have to keep following those urges which are good. So basically kindness, and everyone has so you should be kind to everyone, because everyone is basically fighting a battle. So for everyone, if someone is basically not behaving properly or good with you, just in your own mind, you have to think that yes, there's some problem with that person. He's going through some difficult circumstances. He's also having some insecurities. Let's pardon them for their bad behavior. So not every bad behavior needs a retaliatory response. So that's what you need to understand. So one negative behavior, you also give a negative behavior. Your subconscious mind and subconscious self-serving bias might give that urge to give a befitting reply to that, but that's not needed. So if you suppress that bad urge, and you just be mindful that yes, okay, it's okay. If he has said something to me, that doesn't mean that I also have to say something to him. Like that, those positive urges should be given more um, reinforcement, and negative urges should be suppressed. It's like you have to keep constantly churning your subconscious mind to remove all the impurities, impure thoughts, impure bad urges, and only the positive and good urges you have to keep focusing on. That is what is the analogy which is mentioned, like you have to remove butter from the milk by constantly churning it. Like that, you have to constantly churn your subconscious mind. You have to constantly have a battle within your mind to choose mm, milk from water, or good from bad, good urges from bad urges. That's what is called as chitta shuddhi. So you have to keep uh, purifying your subconscious mind. And there are some ways which are given actually. So that's what basically is the crux of it. What how you um, these emotional pathways, and how what is the significance of them, what is the happiness, and what is grief, and what is anxiety, and why they are important, why you should know about them, all these. So thank you very much for your attention, and I think that you subscribe and you watch other psychology related videos, and thank you very much. Mm, have a nice day. Bye bye.